Welcome to the future home of the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy Railroad in Wyoming. It's pretty messy in here right now. We just moved into the house about a month ago, and I'm in the process of getting ready to start building the layout. This is the main entrance to the train room. We'll start there and work our way around. So standing here in the main doorway, as we walk in, to the right where the shelves are will be simply an aisleway. Immediately to the left of where we're standing will be the double-deck portion of the layout, the Northern Pacific on the bottom, the big yard at Laurel, Montana, and Cody, Wyoming up on the top level. We'll walk completely to the far side of the room in this aisleway of about 3 feet wide to get into the main layout. When we get into the area we go into the main layout, we turn to the left. In front of us will be Casper, Wyoming's main yard, the division point of the railroad. As you can see, there is a lot of work to be done to get the basement even ready for the layout. We'll come in this area. Casper is located here with a modest engine facility and the division point yard. From here, the track will proceed out into the peninsula through Powder River in this area, around to the Wind River Canyon in this area, further on around, roughly where this table is sitting here, to the town of Thermopolis, and then on around. It's a J-shaped peninsula. Pardon the noise as I work my way around here. We'll come on around, and over on this side will be the town of Worland, Wyoming, with the large sugar beet factory. Holly Sugar was that location. Then we'll come on around on the inside of the peninsula to the town of Grable, roughly in this area. From there, we curve on around again, and we come to the town of Laurel, Montana, in this area. Obviously, these shelves will be gone. We proceed on. On the main line, we'll go up to a hidden area on the upper level in the above the Northern Pacific yard, and then we'll turn back, come back again along this wall. It'll reappear about this location, below which will be Lander, Wyoming on the Chicago Northwestern. Proceeding on the CB&Q, we come back to the sidewall again, where we'll find Orrin and Franny Junction. That's where the branch line to Cody, which will run on the upper level through Powell in that area, and over above the Northern Pacific to the refinery, the Husky refinery in Cody, Wyoming on the peninsula. That's a stub end branch line. Coming back, we also have a connection in this corner from Orrin that will tie into the Northern Pacific yard on the lower level, back over in that area. Now, the Laurel yard on the Northern Pacific will disappear into the backdrop about that area and run into a large staging yard on the lower level along this wall. That represents both Seattle and Minneapolis on the Northern Pacific, both ends of the transcontinental, plus it will represent the Crawford, Nebraska section of the Chicago Northwestern as it runs, ran into Wyoming towards Casper. Now, as we go back around to where Casper will be located, we'll find Casper, Powder River, again in this area, and just beyond that is a location called Shobon, which is a junction between Chicago Northwestern and the CB&Q. Chicago Northwestern was a stub branch at that point out to Lander, which I already showed you on the far wall. So that's about it. That's the layout of the layout in the train room as it is currently planned. Now, obviously, there is a ton of work to be done, only a little bit of which has been completed. Several years ago, when building a previous version of the layout, I began putting up these white panels in the ceiling. As you can see, it's open joist. It's an unfinished basement. Been putting up these white panels to help reduce the amount of dust that falls from the upper floor onto the layout. To give you an idea of how bad that can get, take a look at these two fluorescent fixtures that I removed from the overhead. Those were put up about 10 years ago, and they're not real dusty for that length of time, but all of that would have wound up on the layout over time. My plan is to complete parts of the ceiling, including the installation of LED light fixtures in place of the old fluorescent fixtures. I'm going to finish the area over Casper first, the ceiling area, and then I'm going to get started on the Casper bench work and the track laying. As I'm building Casper, I'll continue to do the ceiling, including adding more LED lights. I'm putting up the white ceiling panels. But I'm not going to wait to get the entire basement ceiling finished to start the layout. I'm just not that patient, I'm afraid. One thing I'm kind of going against the grain with here, from the currently accepted theory of basement layout building, I'm not going to finish all the walls in the basement. This is what they'll look like, but they'll be out of sight behind a backdrop up against those 2x4s. They're going to be mounted on 1x2 stringers, as you see over on the far side of the room from the previous layout. And then underneath the benchwork, you won't be able to see the walls behind that anyway. So there's no need to finish the walls. The ceiling is going to be more utilitarian finished than cosmetically finished. So it's going to look pretty much like the finished sections here do. The floor, at some point, I may put down some rubber mats. I may try to paint it. But being as it's got several layers of paint on it, I would have to grind that off, refinish the concrete, and repaint it to get it to hold paint properly. So instead, I may just put down rubber mats. I have some of those stored in the other room. So that's our beginning and introduction to the CB&Q in Wyoming. This has taken a lot longer than I thought. My apologies. One thing you will not see much of is my face in these videos. This is about the layout. This isn't about me. So, until next time, take care.